Hi, good evening. Okay, well, we're going to talk about developmental learning theory, section 2, continued. Yikes. How do I turn? Okay. Woo! Fun transition. Okay, we're going to talk about Erikson's theory and his stages of psychosocial development, and then we're going to talk about social emotional development. Yay! Ta-da! Psychosocial development. Alright, so we're going to start with some red words. These are all the different types of conflict that he described throughout the life. There's 8. I will go over them, and then in the following slides we'll see the corresponding years of your life, and then virtues along with negative outcomes if that's the case. Okay, trust versus mistrust. When you're little, babies look towards caregivers for stability. So receiving stability is what leads to the development of trust in babies. So, they're just looking to be nurtured. They want consistency. They want to be safe. Then we have autonomy versus shame. Autonomy is a sense of self or an identity. So, it's critical that parents allow their children to explore the limits of their identity as they grow and encourage their children to be independent while also protecting them. We want to protect them from failure, but not too much because they need to fail a little bit to learn how to grow. Then we have initiative versus guilt. So your kids interacting with other kids at school, it's learning how to take initiative, make decisions, start asking questions, interact with other students. Things like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just growing up. It's learning how to act with its peers. Okay. Industry versus inferiority. So the child is gaining a sense of self-esteem. It's trying to win people over to show that they're competent and be noticed and receive praise. And then the inferiority would become, if they don't receive that praise that they were looking for, they start to feel inferior and they're not feeling confident like they should be. All right, next set of red words. Identity versus role confusion. So the child's growing up, it's becoming more independent, it's thinking about the future. They're learning the roles of an adult, so they're growing up. And they're kind of having to discover a new identity because they're grown up, they have more responsibility, they figure out what it takes to be an adult, get a job, think about the future, make plans, maybe plan a family, who knows. Things like that. Then we have intimacy versus isolation. So as you grow up, you want to find love, you want long-term commitments, you want positive relationships in your life. You want relationships that are going somewhere. You want relationships that are rewarding. You don't want to be alone. You want to have a family and people to count on, people counting on you, things like that. And when you don't, you start to become isolated. And that's where the problem sets in. So then we have generativity versus stagnation. Middle adulthood, usually by this time you have an established career. We're thinking, I think, up until the age of 40 or so. You're a part of a bigger picture. Usually you're raising kids, working a job, having a career. You're looking out for the welfare of others. Generativity would be the transition between generations and keeping up with the times and doing your things, versus stagnation would just be, staying in one place, doing something that's not necessarily rewarding or not moving forward, etc. Then we move on to integrity versus despair. So at this point, you're getting, you're probably around retirement age. Shoot, saving failed. Okay, well, we're winging it. Integrity versus despair, you're around retirement age, so you're either very productive in your life or you're unproductive. I have one grandma who has been retired for a while, and she goes to yoga, and she walks 5 miles a day, and she gardens, and she does this and that, and she cooks, she dances, and she does all kinds of stuff. And so she's 82 years old, but she doesn't really feel like she's 80 because she's productive and she's doing stuff. She's not just sitting around in despair. And I have another grandma who did all that stuff for a little while, but then, it kind of slowed down, and she definitely aged a lot more quickly once she kind of stopped doing stuff. So at that point in your life, you're either satisfied with your life, you've gained lots of wisdom, or you're unsatisfied with the life you've led. Okay, here I copied the chart into my presentation. So here's all the stages that I talked about again. We can see stage 1, 1 year old, stage 2, 2 years old, stage 3, 3 to 5, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, 18 to 40, 40 to 65, and 65 and up. So we have these positive virtues that can come out of all of these stages, and if you're going through these stages, not really successfully, but if you're having positive outcomes from these stages, you're going to be gaining all these virtues as you grow and develop. Hope, willpower, purpose, competence, fidelity, love, care, wisdom, etc. But then again, if the mistrust wins, if the doubt wins, if the guilt wins, if the inferiority wins, if the despair wins, then, that's what you have. You have fear and suspicion, inadequacy, a sense of inferiority, potentially rebellion, unhappiness, being unproductive, and unsatisfied with your life. That is unfortunate. We don't want that. Okay. We're going to move on to social emotional development. Ta-da. Woo. Okay. Same thing. Red words here. Social emotional development is basically a child's experience, the expression, and their management of their own emotions, and your ability to have positive relationships in your life. Responsive caregiving is support for infants, making sure that they feel safe and nurtured and have stability in their life, etc. Emotional security, it would be like a measure of how stable a person's individual state is. So, are you emotionally stable? Are you secure? Etc. Temperament is like your personality. Personality traits or characteristics. So your temper, do you have a temper, disposition, emotions, your moods, your overall tone, things like that. Okay, then emotion regulation. There's a bunch of different debates or definitions on this. It's been debated in the research apparently. And so basically it's a relationship between your emotions, your cognition, and your behavior. That's very heavily influenced by your culture. So the way I regulate my emotions is going to be a lot different than the way he or she regulates her emotions over there, and etc. How you were raised. It really depends on that. Sorry. Okay. I'm not sick. I'm just, I don't know. Okay. Impulse control, basically. The ability to have control over your impulsive behavior. Being patient when you're waiting for something, whether it's a favor or some kind of outcome, whatever. Following the rules. Not sticking your finger in an electrical outlet, things like that. And then social understanding would be the understanding of responses, communication, expressions, and the actions of other people. Being able to read those and interact with them to see what's going on and know how to respond in different situations. The word affective means relating to moods, feelings, attitudes, often confused with effective, like cause and effect, but affective would be attitudes. Okay, we're almost done. Empathy would be, there's a bunch of different definitions of this one too, but basically you're feeling other people's feelings, linking the feelings of two or more people. I self-identify as a very empathetic person. I'm always crying. and it's usually not about myself. Sometimes it is, but it's like I cry in almost every single episode of Grey's Anatomy that I watch, because whenever somebody dies, I just really feel for Meredith, and I can relate to, I don't know if I can relate to her emotions, but I'm feeling her emotions, and I'm imagining, like, oh, what if my mom died? Or, oh, if I lost my husband, etc. I feel like that makes me very empathetic. Self-efficacy is basically how effective you are, and you're believing in your own ability to succeed or complete a certain task at a certain time, in a certain way, etc. And then a sense of self is basically just how you perceive yourself, as your self-confidence or your lack thereof self-confidence. Who you are, it's your identity. Things like that. And that's it. Those are all my red words. That's my story. That's my presentation. Okay, thanks. See you in class. Bye.